Hey everybody, this is Brody, and I wasn't going to do it really this soon, but this is episode 36. I made some, pretty significant progress in the last couple days, so I figured why not just throw this one up there now and call this a checkpoint. Let's talk about it. All right, well, it's a brand new day, and I'm about ready to reinstall the turbo system. I got some TIG welding done yesterday from my friend Chapo over at 6651 Customs. And we welded on these stainless steel merges from Motion Raceworks for the wastegates. So this coming off the turbo header there goes into a 90-degree elbow. This end goes to the wastegate. This end over here goes to the turbo. I just did a little cleanup on it, filing off some burrs, and I radiused the edge there. You can see where the tubing inside the ID, is smaller, and there's a lip there. So in the direction of the airflow, I ground down and radiused that flange just because I'm just picky like that. Anyway, you can see the hole in there will be cut so that the wastegate gets its pressure source. And this one's cleaned up and ready to go on. Let's get it going. Well, the wastegates are in place. I am not sure exactly the final angle of this outlet here. My initial thought is that I would have it come up and tie into the downpipe, or I may turn it downwards or outwards and run it as just its own separate little exhaust outlet. I haven't decided for sure, but they're in place. God willing, my guesstimate was correct, and I got it to clear the radiator. There was not much room in there. Anyway, right now I'm going to continue on with the cold side, which Chapo also TIG welded these aluminum flanges in here for the blow-off valves. So let's get these in. Okay, well, the cold air tubes are in place, and you can see that I've got the blow-off valves installed there. So yeah, I put those at an angle that was, close to the angle of the plenum there. And this all has a little bit of wiggle room because of these quick clamps. That allows a little bit of motion here. Everything is hand tight right now. I also want to point out that I made my oil drain and feed lines, and I wrapped them in some high heat shield material because, as you can see, this is going up right by the elbow and the wastegate there. A lot of heat there. Most likely I will have this stuff sent off to be ceramic coated. I really hate to do that to these beautiful stainless steel headers. We'll see. But at the very least, I'm probably going to wrap, the elbows or have it ceramic coated. I've got a heat blanket for the turbo there. There's my oil feed line. And yeah, everything's hand tight. Now it's time to get the radiator in and finalize everything and tighten it up. Well, okay, turbos are in place. Radiator and core support are back in place, at least held in by a few screws. And I'm pleased to say that everything is kind of clearing. It's tight. There ain't no wiggle room in this thing here, but as you can see, we got the blow-off valves in. We got the cold air pipes, turbos. We have oil feed lines. We have wastegates peeking through there just barely. Look at that. Did I get it right? Yes, I did. The radiator is clamped in right now. I have to fabricate a sheet metal front for this, and I've got to cut out a semicircle opening for the cold air to get through, or circular, I guess. I got to modify this bracket here. The radiator nipple is, as you can see, just tucking underneath the cold air hose right there, just enough to get a radiator hose on there. And that's going to be a trick, is finding a hose, or probably more like making a hose that comes underneath here, goes over the AC compressor, and then does a hard 90 there. So I might have to buy several pieces of hose and then some coupler metal tubing and splice it together, or just maybe manufacture a metal tube that goes across there and then just use a couple of pieces of rubber to couple the ends, which is probably the better, more likely solution. Got turbo blankets on. We've got just a little bit of clearance here for AC lines, which is great. We had none before with the up and forward style headers. The beautiful stainless headers, I don't know, man. They're so awesome. I'm afraid to have them sent off for ceramic coating, but I'm also concerned about the underhood heat, which I know is going to be pretty intense. So I'm going to look at some ventilation possibilities here. I might put some louvers in the inner fender panel just to get the heat out of there. Maybe something in the hood, which, by the way, let's see if the hood still clears. All right, look at that. Can I get up underneath there to see? What we got there? I don't know, looks pretty good. Looks like maybe 1/4 to a 1/2 inch of clearance. That cable might be barely touching, but not a big deal. Anyway, that's what's going on under the hood. And yeah, so there we go. Everything is snugged down now and kind of in its final resting place. Now I have to work on finishing up the transmission crossmember to lock that angle in with the engine downslope. And then I'm going to fabricate downpipes here. I've got some oval tubing coming in tomorrow, which the plan there is to, if I have to use it, I'll go with the oval. I bought some 45-degree bends that will follow this contour here and then come up and transition to the oval piece up there. That crankcase breather is gonna have to go, and it'll either come inside here and mount somewhere on the inner fender panel or the firewall, or maybe I will just relocate it somewhere underneath here. Not a big concern right now. I've also got AC and heater lines to deal with that are gonna come out somewhere in that area. So yeah, I'm gonna call it a day because I've got some other things to go attend to, but I'm really happy with this little checkpoint. Turbos are in place, cold air is in place, blow-off valves, wastegates. I still need to figure out if I'm going to take the wastegate dump and bring it up here and then merge it into the downpipe. That's what I want to do, I think. So, because I really don't know that I want that, you know, that bypass noise just going psh everywhere. So I think I'm gonna put that into the exhaust downpipe, even though some people online have said it's not a good idea. They say it has different expansion rates than the turbo downpipe and it might crack eventually. I don't know if I'm really worried about that. Maybe I can find a little flex coupler to put in line with it, but that's sort of my plan. I think I'm on target, guys, for maybe within a week firing this thing up. I've got a little bit more to do with the ECM, which, by the way, I don't think I talked about it in the last episode, but I did fabricate a bracket for mounting it there behind the glove box. I don't know if you can see all that. The lighting's kind of foggy right there. But yeah, I made a little bracket and welded a stud onto the back of the cowl, and that is currently sitting there. I have to complete the transmission harness, which goes down through the tunnel there. I was waiting on a grommet to arrive and it's now here. So I'm just gonna cut a hole as far up as I can get it and tuck that wiring out of the way. That plugs into the driver's side of the transmission. I still gotta figure out the adjustment on the shifter because it won't go into drive, it'll only go park, reverse, neutral. What else? Back seat, I just have a final adjustment to make on the brackets there to raise it up a little bit higher because the backrest was sitting down a little bit too low for the bottom cushion to get underneath it. So I gotta raise that up just about, I don't know, maybe 1/2 inch. So I just gotta modify those lower brackets, put that in. Front seats are ready to drop in right now, basically. I'm waiting on a wedge shim that goes underneath the steering column there to secure my column. Put the steering wheel on. I put my push button switch in for the starter. I put in the billet headlight switch. The wiper switch is on the other side there. And as you'll notice, I had to eliminate the headlight switch from over there because of the air conditioning vent. So we have 3 devices: ignition, wipers, and headlights, and they're in, you know, slightly different locations, but I don't care. AC controls, radio, all that stuff will be dealt with down the road. My concern right now is to get this thing fired up and maybe put it in gear and take it for a little spin around the block. Shh, don't tell the cops. Okay, that's it for today. I'm gonna get out of here. I got some things to tend to. I gotta pick up my daughter from school, and I will keep working on this thing as much as I possibly can over the weekend. And who knows, I might have another update for you in a couple days. But keep your fingers crossed. I'll take all the prayers you want to send me. I'm really hoping this all fires up and runs smoothly. You know, who knows, did I miss something when I was putting together the engine? I guess we'll find out soon. Until then, take care.